The 3D in the show is blended so good that, seriously, every time it's there, which in any given episode, if there's any form of action theme, there's always a few scenes where both ARIANE and Arc will be a 3D model, and damn, like, this show seriously gives a run for the money in terms of, like, showing other studios who's boss. I really think they blend it in some of the best ways I've seen, and it never feels like janky 3D character models, where, yeah, if you really focus in, you can tell they are at times, but I mean, just the way they blend certain things, because clearly there's so much movement going on, they want to use the 3D model for it. It just always looks fantastic. And for a pretty action-oriented episode in the second half, I mean, this one caught me by surprise in a pretty positive way. There was some maturity to it, there was some funniness to it, but there was a nice calm before the storm atmosphere as we build into the final boss, which is like this Hydra-looking creature, which I think will be a very fun battle. I honestly thought the final shot of this episode would be a 3D model of some sort, which, I mean, I would have been okay with, because like I said, I think they do 3D quite well, but it was a pleasant surprise to see it hand-drawn, and I imagine they'll be able to incorporate that mixture of 2D and 3D quite well for whatever epic final battle is going to happen. But in terms of making, like, the final obstacle just a psychotic bastard who feeds women, people he either pays off the street or rips away from the streets, and just the fact that he just, you know, uses them, abuses them, and then feeds it to his pets, that's like a fun villain to end on, because you just want to see him killed, you want to see him butchered. It's not like he's going to be the big bad for the entire show. You can tell this is the type of scumbag who will get maybe an arc worth of content at most, and given the based on the next week being the last episode, I wouldn't be shocked if his head is on a spike by the time it ends. But I like the fact that you had like this jealous ARIANE moment where Arc ends up saving a girl who's about to be kidnapped, and I love the fact that he's just so physically strong, he can just flick people away and just, like, literally send them running back to their mommies with their tail between their legs. And the fact that she interprets it as, like, at first, oh shit, he's, like, picking up a prostitute, or he's picking up something, and then when she realizes that it was a girl in need, you know, very much, you could tell, like, that is her man. Even if they aren't officially dating, even if there is no official romantic tagline, title, anything like that, those eyes said it all, that you do not touch Arc unless she gives you permission, because that will be her man one way or another. Bony Arcs be damned, she wants the skeleton booty, and she'll have the skeleton booty, and she ain't sharing. I thought that was pretty fantastic, because then you get this like salty aftermath where, you know, it would have been nice to know that Best Ninja Girl was going to come in at some point, and that's where she got her intel, but because she's a little snarky, she's a little PO'd, she ends up not saying much. And then in the middle of that kind of confrontation, because he uses this like little imp-like creature to make her go crazy, it was very interesting because it was one of those confrontations where you didn't worry in the slightest that Arc was going to be harmed. As strong as she is, I mean, his armor clearly was protecting him. It was a pretty quick establishing shot that we didn't have to worry, that with her not in her right mind, it's kind of just brute force against brute force, and nothing too bad was going to happen. The biggest thing in my mind was that, like, something could happen to her, whether that was an ogre or a giant monster coming in, or him just being a scumbag. That was more my worry than Arc himself having to worry about his bones getting cut apart or anything like that. But it was fun because it's one of those very easy to digest episodes where you don't have to stretch your brain, you don't have to, like, super analyze any particular detail. It's a funny, intense / action-packed episode that you knew was going to establish whatever next week was going to be about. And that is this giant creature, which I am so excited to see because basically up until this point, rescues have gone rather well, right? You know, if you see a bunch of elves in a cart about to be sold off, or they're in a prison cell, yeah, they don't save everyone, but at the end of the day, they get the job done. There's some tears maybe shed, but ultimately, Arc will succeed. This was the first time where Arc actually lost it, where he was so pissed off that he couldn't keep his composure, because this man, and whoever he works for, seemingly, there's no one to save. It's all been fed or killed or tortured or everything else. And the fact that he actually lost it was very interesting because, you know, we can go back to the very first episode when he cut apart those bandits, right? I mean, there's certain people who he has no remorse for and will not pull his punches. And this is one of those people that I imagine is probably going to get his great sword of death, basically a clean sweep and split him into two. I'm excited to see what they do with it because this is one of those worlds where it's just consistently good. It's something that you could easily see yourself watching a couple more seasons minimum before even potentially growing bored. You have that political story, which is honestly really interesting. Clearly probably not going to be the main focus of next week, given the battle, arcs, aftermath, everything like that. They might use it a bit to tease season 2 or where the source material goes from here, but ultimately it will be Ark and Ariane and the gang kind of like finishing up in probably an open-ended fashion. But there's a lot to do with this world, both with the changes that are being brought about, whether it's Ark's interference or just the general people out there. And I'm excited to see what they want to pull in terms of a final episode, because as much as I want to see more, I could also easily see myself looking at it and saying, you know what, if they never give us more, I'm not going to feel betrayed. I don't need to go read a source material, because ultimately it does feel like, you know, Ark's journey is going to be so large in scale, the anime probably won't be able to cover it all anyway. This is a man who's going to, for probably the next 80 years, be able to manipulate this world into one giant-ass adventure, and however much they decide to show us in the anime, I will welcome, but I do hope for the sake of that political story, at least of what they've been establishing up to this point, one more season would be a blessing just to kind of get some conclusion on that front, even though a character like Ark is going to have so many countless journeys under his belt by the time he fully puts up his armor and decides to cross those legs in retirement. I think the one thing that makes an episode like this so fun is the fact that despite not having any real reactions from Ark, right? You know, sometimes you get his dramatic skeleton eye light up and things like that, but for the most part, it's him just kind of flailing his arms, flailing his legs or sword. But in a moment where Ariane was emotionless because she was being controlled like a puppet, Ark has barely any facial reactions. In return, you get to let this psychotic bastard take hold, and those just Joker-like evil characters who are laughing like a menace. The voice actor did one hell of a job. I can't put my finger on it, but I recognize the voice. But it was the perfect casting because it just got under your skin. It was like nails on a chalkboard. The way he was sounding, the way he was enunciating those words. It's just you wanted to see him die immediately as soon as he opened his mouth. And just to see him like freak out, like it doesn't matter how many shit you kill around him. He's just like, huh. I got another 3. Oh, you killed all those? I'll unleash the whole thing that I have here. He's one of those characters who I feel like even as he's getting his heart stabbed, he's going to be laughing about how it was the most fun day he's ever had. He's just weird, he's evil, he's twisted. The voice actor, the animation on his character model, he just infuriated you, and they did such a good job because by making Ark not have too many reactions, Ariane being a puppet, you really just got to soak in the bastard that he is, and it made you want to see him die all the more in next week's episode. And that's why I love this production. There's so many noticeable things that elevate it that probably won't get talked about too much, but I always try to bring it up in these videos because it does so much for the production. But thoughts if you have any down below, favorite moment, what do you hope to see in next week's episode? Let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you're new around here. Until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.